I'm going to let you all dictate what sort of fiscal responsibility questions or any other questions that y'all have. And I'll add Bill, we can vibe off that for a little. Yes, sir?
One question. You said that you started your business with no debt. How did you do that?
Saved up. It was a blessing. It was a blessing in a little bit. I'll tell you exactly how I did it. I was saving to buy a home, and I decided at that point in time, instead of to save to buy a home, I wanted to start a business because I wanted to use that money for savings to give them the company. But I was also a stock trader. At that point in time, Sirius Satellite, and I hardly ever tell the story, but I don't know what I'm telling now, but whatever. But Sirius Satellite was a stock that, because it cost me about, God bless you, it's $28,000 for my business expenses, and I still not including the 12 months of living expenses. Okay, so I still had to live, but that's outside of my investment for licensing, website, consultants, all that stuff, right? Sirius Satellite came along and filled the gap right at the end, and I'm telling you how I played it. It was the best trade of my life. I bought some at $2.30. I bought more at $5 a share. It hit $10 a share. I sold it all. It went down to $5 a share. No, it hit me. I sold it all when it didn't go through 10 at about 9:30. It went back down to 5. I bought it all. It went up to 6.5. I sold it all, and that filled the gap of the remaining amount of a few. Like, well, there's a little bit of money of that $28,000 I needed to get stuff going. So it was. I don't attribute that to anybody but God, man. I've never made a trade that doggone good, and I've been a trader for a long time. Well, not long, 6 years, and I made some good trades, but that trade was right on time because it enabled me to do two things. When I walked away, I was and it all just so happened, it all worked out so perfectly. See, if your steps are ordered, everything works out. It always does. It's a story in the Bible. If you look at 1 Kings 17, 1, you all really need to read this story, man. Elijah the Tishbite, he was essentially, and let me not mess it up, he was essentially witnessing the word of God to this guy named Ahab, who were unto the inhabitants of Gilead. And so Elijah was this prophet, one of the strongest prophets in the Old Testament. And as he was on this journey, he told this guy, Ahab, said, listen, man, it's going to be drought for many days, so I need to move. So Elijah started to walk on this path. He got to the brook of Cherith. And at the brook of Cherith, ravens fed him. And God provided him food to eat through ravens. So that says to me that if you walk with your steps ordered, that even your enemies will sustain you along your path. You know, which is a very powerful statement if you think about it. If you are truly walking in your divine step, then even your enemies will help you along the way. And then he ended up at this place called Zarephath, where he met up with this widow. The widow said, I'm about to die, you know, but he said no, and he took a little bit of food, and God blessed them, multiplied. And next you know, now they did eat for many days. And so that also says to me, and the widow was preparing for death, because she was scared, and her son eventually died. But Elijah took the son, offered it up to God, and he said, God, save this son, he knows no evil, and essentially allowed him to breathe life back in the son, and the son revived. So I like this story, and it speaks to me because it showed that the journey of Elijah was not for the sake of himself, it was for the sake of other people. And what I've discovered is that if you're walking in your divine purpose, and again, all the saving stories that I tell you, it all happened at exactly the right time. Things that would have never happened before, that I would never, in my wildest dreams, would have happened, it started to happen. So that all these things are proof and evidence of walking in your purpose and being influenced by God. And I think it was there's a lot of divine intervention that I was able to get just from my own journey. And reading that story as well, it inspired me to know that on the other side of your hard work and determination and the diligence and tears and sweat that you're going to get put out to get your purpose to be fulfilled, there's somebody waiting on you to bless them. So the essence of the epitome of selfishness is quitting. You know, like if you want to be selfish, quit and don't go to school. Quit and don't make something good of yourself. Because what you're doing is you're robbing someone from the upliftment and empowerment that someone's supposed to be receiving from your good works. They're supposed to be benefiting from the good works you're giving to them. You know, that's why I believe strongly in just at least telling you just that one message, because I believe in y'all. Seriously, I believe in y'all. I believe that y'all have a lot of good to give, and I want to see it. And if you want to call me selfish for being here, I'll be selfish, because I want all the blessings that are coming to me. I want every one. And if those blessings come from you, and they come from you empowering yourself to empower the community, and then I benefit from that, then I want everything coming to me. So it's my obligation to be here. And any other questions? Any questions about personal finance, financial literacy, savings? Yes.
You said whatever income you get, you should at least save 15%. But how do you discipline yourself in saving money?
Well, it's a great question. When saving, and as a financial advisor, I'll tell you this much: automatic deposit has been a blessing for me with many of my clients, because it is a natural tendency that if it's not automated, it's a book up there called The Automated Millionaire by David Bach. I think it's a great book to read. I think it's very simple to read, but he really talks about automating things. And many individuals do things different ways. Some people just have the discipline to say that and I just did a workshop for some public housing residents, and I told them to create a me account. Okay? This me account is the first thing that you pay every single month. Even if it's just a little bit of money. You got a lot, but put a little bit of money in there and start establishing yourself a savings account that you know you're never going to touch, just so you can see it a little bit. And sometimes you might not, I've worked with many folks, they can't start off with 15%. Because it's just too strenuous for them. And they're already, 60% of America is spending in a deficit. Meaning what? What's a deficit? Exactly. So that's 60% of this country. Most people in this country spend more than they earn, which is unbelievable if you think about it. So what we have to do is just kind of dial back, and we really have to scale down. And I think downsizing is going to be one of the most crucial components of this economy. But in the process of doing this, we're going to see a lot of slow growth, which is why we're not going to see an economy that's going to grow as fast as it did, because we're scaling down, which is a good thing, but it's going to translate to a bad thing for economic growth. All right, but that means if you're trying to save 15%, that means you save 5%, and then you do a little bit more. And what I found out is that graduated scales. You put a little bit more aside, a little bit more aside. You automate it, and then you go to an online bank account.